7 o'clock-ish, and got some questions to be answering. If you have a question about a plastic surgery related issue, then I will be available to tackle that. So here's some questions that we've already got. Thank God. Here's some questions we've already got, because yeah, a bit dead to start off with, but let's just push on. Does a shave excision include cauterisation? Technical question there. Not sure what's behind that question, but answer is yes. So so a shave excision involves taking a usually a mole that's kind of proud of the skin, taking it off at the level of the skin. So it has to be raised. You can't really do that with a flat mole, but certainly with a raised mole you can take it off at the level of the skin, and that leaves a raw patch where the base of the mole was, and that then bleeds. So we dress it with a special dressing which encourages clotting, but also do a little bit of cautery, which is using a machine we have in the minor operating theatre, which is a little pair of forceps, a little pair of tweezers, which has an electrical current that goes between the two prongs of the tweezers and cauterizes any little blood vessels. So it's called a bipolar cautery because it's the two poles of the forceps the current goes between. So yeah, cautery is a part of a shave excision and is included. Does not need to be asked for. Oh, right, okay. I thought someone says something on Instagram, but they haven't. It's okay, doesn't matter. You know, we're professional here. So how do you determine if a mole needs to be surgically removed or shaved off? The two criteria for a shave are it needs to be raised. So if it's not raised, it's not an option, and it needs to be clinically benign. So we need to clinically believe it to be benign. So if it is not raised, or if there is any worry that it might be a skin cancerous or an abnormal mole, then a shave would not be an option. So there's no decision to be had. An excision would be the way to go with that. But if it is raised and it is clinically benign, so by looking at it, it looks like a benign mole. These are often what we would call intradermal nevi. They often look quite benign. They've been long standard. They often have hair growth. So they're clinically benign. Then there is an option. So then we can have a discussion with you to see which one you would prefer, if you would prefer a shave or a formal excision, because you know, there are pros and cons of both, and some people might prefer one or the other. So we will have an input as to which, you know, whether one or the other is viable. But in situations where both are viable, then we'll have a discussion with you as to which one you think might suit you best. Is histopathology included in the price for lesion removals? Yes, it is. So we did for a time have it so that there was an extra price for histology, and we thought that was being more kind of transparent, because there is a price for histology and not all lesions need to be sent for histology. So we thought it would be better to say, look, this is price for the mole removal and this is the price for histology. The problem with doing it that way was that some people kind of didn't want to pay the extra for histology because they felt it wasn't anything to worry about, and sometimes we also felt it wasn't anything to worry about. But it's good practice to send certain moles, not all moles, but there are certain moles which it's good practice, not in moles, like lipomas, this kind of lesions for histology. And I would say most lesions that we remove, certainly the majority of the lesions that we remove, we actually send for histology. And personally, I didn't feel that comfortable kind of bringing price into it and giving the patient a sort of option to have it sent for histology or not, because it's then awkward if they say, well, I'm not paying £200 for histology, and I'm thinking, I don't feel comfortable putting that in the bin. I really would feel more comfortable if we sent that histology, and so that created a difficult situation. So now we've taken that out of the equation. So we've taken price out of the equation. So it's kind of up to us as the surgeon whether we send it for histology or not. And the price is not extra for histology. So we just quote a price for removal of your lesion, and then if that requires histology, there is no extra charge. We will send it for histology. We've taken that kind of angst and that level of decision making away from you, the patient, and kind of put it onto us, the surgeon, and we will send it off for histology if we feel it is needed. And that, as I say, is completely included in what have you. So if something's completely benign, skin tag or something like that, then there may not be any requirement for histology. But if there is a requirement, then we do not charge extra for that. Do you offer mole removal via radio frequency? No, we do not. Do mole removal via radio frequency? So, I've always said that there are lots of different ways to remove a mole, and I get comments, actually not so much recently, but I used to get comments on YouTube asking about all sorts of ways of removing moles, kind of, without surgery, basically, and at home, really, usually revolving around some kind of acid, basically. And yeah, there are lots of different ways you can remove a mole, because basically a mole is just a pigmented area of the skin, and if you remove that bit of skin, then that mole will be removed. If you fall off your motorbike and scrape the skin off your leg and there's some moles there, those moles will be removed. So you can destroy skin or remove skin in lots of different ways. But we only use surgery in the clinic, and I feel that is the best way, because you can control it. If you're using energy to remove the mole, it can be more difficult to gauge the depth of that energy, of kind of how much skin it removes. So that's kind of more like laser, that a lot of people talk about laser. Now, having said that, I don't do laser, so I don't want to be kind of, what's the word, criticized for being like, you're just saying that because you don't do it. So it's like, talk to someone who does it and talk about the pros and cons. For me, the pros of laser is if there's multiple, then maybe laser would be good, but you can't send it for histology. It's not possible to send a lesion for histology if you're removing it by laser, because laser is essentially burning the skin and removing the mole that way. But I'm not familiar with radio frequency I'm familiar with it as a skin tightening, and I know that there is some machines that do kind of fat removal. Do they do mole removal? I don't know if it destroys. I thought the whole point of it was it sort of kind of sublethal dose to the skin, and that tightens the skin. But maybe there's something about I don't know. Maybe so. No is the answer. We don't do mole removal by radio frequency. That's a short answer. That's probably easiest. I should have just started with that. I think I might have started with that anyway. Is it possible for a mole to be shaved down to be smaller instead of fully removed? I think that's weird. I remember someone asking that ages ago, and I remember thinking it weird then. The answer is yes, but you'd have to kind of take that on a case by case basis, because I personally feel that's I mean, unless it's like you're worried about the raised nature of it, but you're not worried about the color of it, and you're happy to have a flat mole, in which case you could do a shave of a pigmented mole, as long as you're happy with it being a mole there and just want it not as raised. I guess that would be an indication where you're asking for that. But yeah, it is possible for a mole to be shaved down to smaller instead of fully removed. I guess, as I say, it's not a common request, so I guess we would want to have that addressed on a case-by-case basis. So as ever, if you have got something like a mole or something that you want to have removed, then you can send us a photo. If you send us a photo on WhatsApp, it's probably the best way to do that, and we will have a look at it and let you know whether this sort of thing, if you do want it to be shaved down to smaller, we can give you a better answer to that, better idea. It's always easier with a photo, and better still in real life in the clinic. You know, we'll see you in the clinic to assess you, to have a discussion as to whether you would benefit from having that done or not, because that's what we're trying to get to. Would you benefit from having it done? That's the question, isn't it? So yeah, that's me out of questions. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. That's me out of questions. So good haul of questions. Thank you for those people who ask those questions. If you have any questions, message me, DM me, or do whatever needs to be done, and I will, you know, if you're lucky, can't guarantee it, if you're lucky, you might make it next week. Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, yeah, ask JJ, I'll be there. I expect you to be there too. So catch you next Tuesday.